Billy Ray Harris was a homeless middle-aged man who would sit every day on a plastic crate on the sidewalk of Kansas City, Missouri. He would hold out a cup for a charitable passerby to put some change in it, hoping it would get him some food for the day. It was a typical day for Harris, who relied on the kindness of strangers to pay for a single meal each day. On that particular day, a woman named Sarah Darling walked up to Harris when she saw him holding the cup. As Sarah knew there was loose change in her purse, she took out her phone, wallet, and keys before dumping the purse upside down, letting all of the coins fall in Harris' cup. Sarah lived a quite comfortable life in Kansas City. When she saw Billy on the sidewalk holding out his cup hoping for some coins from people who would walk by him, she decided to put in whatever change she had floating around in her purse. Instead of doing what anyone would do, i.e. dig out the coins with her hand, Sarah simply turned her purse upside down and let the change fall into the cup. Harris was known by the residents of Kansas City as he had been living in its streets for a few years, not having a warm bed to lay in at night, nor food to go through the tough winter days. Once the first rays of sun made their ways into the sky, Harris would make his way downtown to take a seat on the sidewalk. No matter how cold, windy, or hot it was, Harris would be there, cup in hand, hoping to collect enough change for a meal to sustain his body for yet another day. Harris had one in a kind heart, driven by hope no matter how dark things go. He always held on to hope that his life would improve at some point. But day after day, he found himself making his way to the same sidewalk. When he lost his house, putting a roof over his head became the most difficult thing to do, considering the fact that he was jobless, and getting a job without a home address was even more difficult, not to say impossible to achieve. So he did the only thing he could think of and took life day by day. It was a cold, cloudy day in February. Sarah walked through the streets of Kansas City beaming and radiating with joy. She had just become engaged to her fiancé Bill Credshaw, with whom she'd been for years. She was looking forward to spending the rest of her life with her true love by her side. Bill proposed to her a beautiful diamond ring. The newly engaged couple started to plan their wedding to tie the knot and live together as husband and wife. Feeling extremely lucky and in love, Sarah didn't hesitate to offer all of the change she had on her to a man she saw in need sitting on the sidewalk. While she felt comfortable and secure in her life in Kansas City, it was clear that Harris didn't have the same flow of days in his life. Sarah walked over to the man and dumped the coins from her purse into his plastic cup. However, what she didn't realize was that her engagement ring had fallen in two. Sarah adored wearing her new engagement and would show it to her friends and colleagues, ecstatic to share the news of her engagement with everyone in her life. But on that particular day, her ring finger was swollen and inflamed, and she couldn't put a ring on, so she took it off and stuck it in her purse. Harris politely thanked Darling for her priceless charity, and both of them went on with their day without noticing that the diamond ring had fallen into the cup with the coins. Harris carried on with his day sitting on the sidewalk for several hours, collecting more change from the passerby. It wasn't until much later that day, when he packed his things, heading to his sleeping corner, that he noticed the diamond ring with the coins in the cup. Harris told NBC, "When I finally decided to leave, I got on my bike and dumped the change into my hand, and there was the ring." The first thought that probably would cross anyone's mind is that Harris was thanking his lucky stars when he found the diamond ring in his cup. The ring would get him a small fortune that can save him from the homelessness life. But Harris was an honest man, and even if the ring had been real, he wouldn't keep it, as he'd known the owner would come back for it at some point, and it wasn't his to keep. At first, Harris thought that it was very unlikely for anyone to just donate a diamond ring worth thousands of dollars. He just assumed that the jewelry was fake. Even though he initially doubted the authenticity of the ring, Harris held on to it. He told KCTV, "The ring was so big I knew if it was real, it had to be expensive." In order to find out whether the diamond ring was real, Harris brought it to a nearby pawn shop. Once an expert at the pawn shop valued the diamond ring, Harris was stunned. It was far from being fake. Harris told NBC that the ring was really worth some money, worth enough that the appraiser was ready to give me $4,000 right there on the spot. For someone who went through each day with nothing but loose change from strangers, This was a huge discovery. Now that Harris knew that the diamond ring was real, and had he wanted to, he could walk away with $4,000, he had a big decision to make. Still stunned at the value of the ring he found dropped in with the rest of the change, Harris decided to take time to think about what he should do with it. He didn't have any money in the bank, nor did he have a car or even a place to shelter him for the cold of winter and hot summer days. He could have taken the cash and put it in rent to put a roof on his head, but he hadn't. He told NBC, "My grandfather was a reverend. He raised me from the time I was 6 months old, and thank the good Lord. It's a blessing, but I do still have some character." While Harris had the ring valued at a pawn shop and decided to keep it safe, Sarah only noticed that her engagement ring was missing the next day when she didn't find it in her purse. It was horrible. It was such a feeling of loss. It meant so much to me beyond just the financial value, she told NBC. Once she realized that the ring was no longer in her purse, Sarah freaked out a little, but then she pulled herself together and retraced her steps in her head, and that's when she remembered that she had dumped the contents of her purse in a Harris cup. Sarah went back to the place where she had seen Harris, but to her biggest surprise, he wasn't there. She decided to come back the day after, and finally, there he was, sitting on the sidewalk alongside his bike, holding his cup, just like found him the first time. Sarah was so grateful to see Harris once again, however, she wasn't sure if he would still have her ring. Nervous to find out the answer, she approached him. She recalled the conversation to KCTV. "I asked him, 'I don't know if you remember me, but I think I gave you something that's very precious to me.'" She continued, and he says, "Was it a ring?" "Yeah, I have it. I kept it for you." He pulled it out of his pocket. Although Harris could have easily cashed in the ring as he was in dire need of money and never returned to the same spot on the sidewalk, that just wasn't his character. Without hesitation, he handed over the diamond ring to Sarah, who was overjoyed to finally get her precious ring back in her finger. Sarah held the ring in her hand before placing it back on her finger. Even though it had only been a couple of days since she lost it, she knew there was a huge chance that her beloved engagement ring would be gone forever. When Sarah got home with her engagement ring once again on her finger, she straight told her fiancé, Bill, about everything that happened. She kept on talking about how kind Harris had been and how he gladly handed over the ring that he could have cashed in to save his life from the misery he was living in. That's when the couple decided to return the favor and reward his honest heart. They first created an account for Harris on a website called Give Forward, where people could donate money to those in need, people like Harris. Sarah told Today, "We set a goal for $1,000. We set it up because a lot of people who had been touched by the story expressed interest in helping Billy Ray." Once the account was set up with the story of how Harris selflessly returned the ring, people were eager to help, and donations quickly started coming in, one after another. And it didn't just stop there. People who donated money to Harris shared incredible messages of how inspired they were by his good deed, one not many people in his situation would have done. It wasn't just the residents of Kansas City who were touched by Harris' actions and Sarah's willingness to help him in return. Donations poured in from around the world. One couple from the UK even shared, "Billy, your sweet actions, despite being in dire straits yourself, prove that there is humility in the world." The donations and sweet messages kept coming in from everywhere around the planet. As it turned out, the story was relatable to a lot of people. One person who made a donation recalled their mother's ring being stolen from their house and how awful it made them feel. They were so happy to know that his story had a better ending and gladly pitched in $10 to the kind soul who returned the ring. The account Bill and Sarah exceeded their expectations by not only hundreds and thousands of dollars, as it garnered more than $190,000 in donations. While Harris could have had $4,000 in his pocket the day he decided to sell the diamond ring, he now ended up walking away with so much more, all because of his kind spirit. While helping him retrieve the donations from the Give Forward account, Darling says they formed a friendship. She told the donation site, "We talked about a lot of things related to my family's ring and the many donations. We talked about how insanely positive all of this has been." In the matter of barely 3 months, Harris' account had tipped over the $190,000 mark. To make sure that he would spend the money wisely, Harris contacted a financial advisor to help him put the money into a trust account. Once he knew the majority of the money was in a safe place, Harris felt comfortable using some of it to get out of the abyss he was living in and improve his life. He used some of the money in the purchase of a vehicle, which was life-changing on its own, as he had a transportation means and even a place to stay before he could get his own place. No longer homeless, Harris now has a roof over his head that he owns himself. He also says that he'll be renovating the home himself. While Harris had been sleeping under a bridge for over a decade, his family had been trying to locate him for many years. Not knowing where to look or how to get in contact with him, they gave in to the fact that they'd probably never see Harris again. However, after the incredible story of returning the ring and the money-raising campaign that went viral to save his life, Harris' family finally found a way to get in touch with him. He expressed how incredibly thankful he was to be given a fresh start in life. After more than 10 years of living day by day, Harris now has a home, a car, and has been reunited with his long-gone family. He told Today, "When I think of the past, I think, thank God that it's over. I mean, I feel you in now." In spite of all the struggles that he had gone through, Harris remains positive and optimistic about the future. He told Today, "This is what they call the American dream." He continued, "I want to thank all the people that helped me out. I want them to see where all their efforts, blessings, and kindness is going." Sarah, Bill, and Harris all appeared on the Today Show to recall the incredible story that started with a returned diamond ring. Darling said, "Overall, it just makes me feel good. A lot of people came together to change this person's life when he's someone who really deserves that."